Welcome to my channel BBC Rare Coins. Ever held a piece of American history right in your pocket? From the face of a founding father to a legacy that spans over 80 years, the Jefferson nickel isn't just spare change. It's a symbol of tradition, design evolution, and even hidden rarities worth way more than face value. Let's start. Top 1. In the quiet shuffle of everyday transactions, millions of coins pass between hands, pockets, and registers without a second glance. But every so often, one of those coins, minted for everyday use, rises above the rest to become a legend. Today, we explore the unbelievable stories behind two of the most valuable coins ever to surface from everyday American currency: the 1979 Jefferson nickel and a rare U.S. quarter dollar that once sold for a staggering $75,000. These aren't gold pieces locked in museums. They're coins you'd never expect. Coins that once lived in someone's change jar. Let's begin with the 1979 Jefferson nickel. At first glance, it looks like any other nickel. Featuring Thomas Jefferson's profile on the front and the stately Monticello on the back, it was part of a design that ran for decades. But in 1979, something unusual happened. A handful of Jefferson nickels were minted with rare die errors that would eventually make them some of the most sought-after coins in the 5-cent series. One of the most valuable and elusive varieties from that year is the Full Steps 1979 Jefferson nickel, where every single step on Monticello is crisply struck and clearly visible. On most nickels, the steps are weak or blurred due to die wear and poor striking pressure. But when you find a 1979 nickel with 5 or 6 full steps, it's an immediate standout. And if it's in high-grade, uncirculated condition, it becomes a treasure. Now combine that with a double die obverse, where the lettering or Jefferson's eye appears slightly duplicated due to a misalignment in the die-making process. These coins are exceedingly rare. Only a few exist, and most were never officially documented by the mint. When one surfaces, it causes a stir in the numismatic community. Collectors have paid upwards of $10,000 or more for pristine examples of these error nickels, especially those that are slabbed and graded mint state 66 or higher by PCGS or NGC. What makes the 1979 Jefferson nickel even more intriguing is its deceptive simplicity. It doesn't shout its rarity. It whispers it. In the clean lines of Monticello's steps, in the subtle doubling of a word or date, in the gleam of a flawless surface. A coin that cost 5 cents to make and could be worth a small fortune. But if the nickel tells a story of quiet rarity, the $75,000 quarter is the stuff of numismatic legend. This isn't a century-old coin made of silver or struck by accident during wartime. This is a standard U.S. quarter dollar that sold for $75,000 because of a perfect storm: rarity, error, and condition. Experts believe the coin was part of a rare transitional error series. Quarters struck during a changeover period when the U.S. Mint was adjusting its metal composition or retooling its dies. These types of errors are extremely rare because they usually get caught during quality control. But when one slips through the cracks and survives in pristine condition, its value skyrockets. One possible example of such an error is a quarter struck on the wrong planchet, such as a foreign coin blank, or even a planchet intended for a different U.S. denomination. This would give the coin a strange weight or color, immediately setting it apart. Another theory is that it may have been a double denomination error, a coin struck first as one denomination and then mistakenly struck again with quarter dies. Imagine a coin with remnants of a dime or penny under the quarter design. Errors like this are incredibly rare, and collectors go wild for them. But even more important than the error is the condition. The $75,000 quarter was likely graded at MS 68 or higher, an almost impossible level of perfection for a coin mint for general circulation. Every surface would be flawless. No scratches, no wear, no imperfections. It would shimmer under light with the kind of luster that only a few coins ever achieved. It's this combination: extreme rarity, undeniable error, and flawless condition that propelled a 25-cent piece into the record books. A coin anyone could have spent on a cup of coffee, and instead became the centerpiece of a world-class collection. Both the 1979 Jefferson nickel and the $75,000 quarter are proof that value doesn't always come in gold or silver. Sometimes it hides in copper-nickel blends, in forgotten jars of change, in the folds of an old wallet. They are reminders that treasure isn't always buried. Sometimes, it jingles in your pocket. So next time you get change at the grocery store or dig through coins in the couch, pause for a second. Check the date. Look at the details. That nickel or quarter you almost overlooked might just be worth more than its weight in gold. Top 2. In the vast world of coin collecting, some pieces of everyday currency end up becoming hidden treasures worth tens of thousands of dollars. Today, we're diving deep into the fascinating story behind two remarkable U.S. coins that have stunned collectors and historians alike: a seemingly ordinary 1980 Jefferson nickel and an incredibly rare U.S. quarter that once sold for a jaw-dropping $66,000. But let's begin with the 1980 Jefferson nickel. Most people wouldn't think twice before spending one. After all, Jefferson nickels have been in circulation since 1938, and billions have been minted. But in the world of numismatics, the tiniest details can turn a 5-cent coin into a priceless artifact. In 1980, the Philadelphia Mint produced millions of Jefferson nickels without a mint mark, which was typical for that time. But here's where it gets interesting. Among these nickels, a handful of coins were struck with critical die errors. These included off-center strikes, double dies, and even coins struck on the wrong planchet, such as a nickel being struck on a penny blank, giving it a copper hue instead of the typical silver nickel appearance. These rare minting mistakes can elevate the value of a simple nickel from 5 cents to thousands of dollars, depending on its rarity, grade, and condition. Collectors have been known to pay up to $5,000 or more for a 1980 Jefferson nickel that displays a significant error, especially if it's graded highly by professional services like PCGS or NGC. Even a subtle doubling in Jefferson's eye, lettering, or the steps of Monticello can skyrocket the value. If you're holding a 1980 Jefferson nickel with crisp details and an unusual appearance, it might just be one of the rarest variations in modern U.S. coinage. Now let's talk about a coin that took the numismatic world by storm. The mysterious U.S. quarter that sold for an astounding $66,000 at first glance. It looks like any other Washington quarter. You might find one like it in your change and never suspect its true value. But what made this particular quarter so rare and valuable was a combination of minting errors and pristine condition. Imagine a quarter struck on the wrong metal, or one featuring a dramatic double die error, where the date or letters appear doubled, causing a ghost-like image. These types of mistakes are so rare that only a few are known to exist. In this case, the $66,000 quarter was believed to be a 2004 Wisconsin extra leaf error quarter, or a rare transitional error involving a coin struck on a leftover planchet from a previous year. Some of these quarters show extra leaves near the corn on the reverse side, either pointing high or low. These seemingly tiny differences sent shockwaves through the collector's community, but it wasn't just the error that drove up the price. The condition of the coin was near perfect, a mint state 67 or higher, meaning it had never been circulated, handled, or scratched. Combine this flawless condition with extreme rarity, and suddenly, a 25-cent coin becomes worth more than a brand new luxury car. What's most exciting is that both of these coins, whether it's the 1980 Jefferson nickel or the rare error quarter, weren't made of gold or silver. They were never meant to be collector's items. They were regular coins, minted for everyday use. And yet, through a twist of fate and an eye for detail, they became some of the most sought-after modern coins in history. Next time you're digging through your spare change, take a closer look. That worn nickel or dull quarter might just be the key to unlocking a small fortune. You never know. The most valuable coins are often hiding in plain sight. Top 3. In the pockets of everyday Americans, countless coins have passed from hand to hand, spent, lost, forgotten. But occasionally, one of those coins breaks free from obscurity and rises to legendary status. Today, we uncover the remarkable stories behind two unassuming pieces of U.S. currency: the 1984 Jefferson nickel and a mysterious quarter dollar that fetched $64,000 at auction. Both started as common coins, but through rare errors, remarkable condition, and numismatic intrigue, they became icons in the world of coin collecting. Let's begin with the 1984 Jefferson nickel. On the surface, it appears like any other 5-cent coin, featuring the familiar profile of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and his estate, Monticello, on the reverse. But the 1984 issue has an astonishing twist. A rare handful were struck with errors so significant, they turned this humble nickel into one of the most coveted coins in American numismatics. One of the most notable errors involved a double die obverse, where elements of the coin's design appeared doubled, especially visible in Jefferson's eye. The inscriptions, "In God We Trust" and "Liberty." These doubled features weren't intentional. They were a result of a misalignment during the die creation process. But collectors go crazy for them. In some cases, the 1984 Jefferson nickel was also struck on the wrong planchet, the metal disc meant for another coin entirely. Imagine a nickel struck on a penny planchet, giving it a copper-colored finish, or even more bizarre, a dime planchet, making the entire design misaligned and partially missing. These striking errors are exceedingly rare. Combine that with pristine, uncirculated condition, and you've got a 5-cent piece that can fetch thousands of dollars, even upwards of $10,000 in some cases. The rarity of the 1984 era nickels is amplified by the fact that few people knew to look for them. Many were likely spent, lost, or tucked away in jars. That's what makes finding one today so thrilling. It's like holding a secret the mint never meant to reveal. But the true heavyweight in today's story is the rare quarter dollar that sold for $4.64000. Yes, a regular-looking U.S. quarter, worth 25 cents face value, commanded the price of a luxury car, a college tuition, or even a down payment on a home. But why? This wasn't just any quarter. It was a mint error of extraordinary rarity, combined with flawless preservation and a bit of mystery. One theory is that it was a transitional error, a quarter struck in a year when the U.S. Mint was changing materials or dies. These errors occur when a coin is accidentally struck with the previous year's design or on outdated planchets. Such mistakes are caught early and rarely leave the mint. But when one escapes, it becomes a collector's dream. In some cases, this rare quarter may have been struck on a foreign coin blank, giving it a slightly different weight or metallic composition. Other possibilities include double strikes, off-center errors, or misaligned dies that cause doubling or missing design features. But rarity alone doesn't make a coin hit $64,000. Condition is king. This quarter was likely graded MS 67 or higher, meaning mint state, with nearly perfect surfaces, no scratches, and brilliant luster. That level of preservation is almost unheard of for a coin that was meant to be spent on vending machines and parking meters. It wasn't just rare. It was immaculate, and that's why it soared in value. What makes this story even more incredible is the fact that both coins, the 1984 nickel and the $64,000 quarter, were never meant to be special. They were born from the same presses that minted billions of others. They were pocket change. Yet somehow, fate intervened, and they became legends. They remind us that treasure isn't always buried deep underground or locked away in a vault. Sometimes, it's sitting right in your change jar, or slipping through your fingers at a gas station. Next time you get a handful of coins, take a moment. Look closely. Examine the date. Notice the details. That unassuming nickel or quarter might be far more valuable than you think. Top 4. Every coin tells a story. Some speak of a nation's history, others of craftsmanship, but a rare few whisper the secrets of fortune hidden in plain sight. Today, we unravel the incredible stories of two seemingly ordinary coins that stunned the world of collectors: the 1985 Jefferson nickel and a rare U.S. quarter dollar that once commanded an astonishing $62,000 at auction. These are not ancient coins, not minted in gold or silver, not held in museums behind glass. These are everyday coins, born for circulation, meant for wallets and vending machines, but transformed by error, condition, and mystery into legends. Let's begin with the 1985 Jefferson nickel. Struck in a year that saw over 500 million nickels minted, the 1985 issue should have faded into obscurity. And yet, it became one of the most talked about Jefferson nickels in numismatic history. Why? Because somewhere in the massive production that year, a few rare errors slipped past the eyes of the U.S. Mint. One of the most famous varieties to emerge from 1985 was a full steps nickel in high mint state, a coin where the steps of Monticello on the reverse side appear razor-sharp and uninterrupted. For decades, full steps have been a major marker of rarity in Jefferson nickels. It's incredibly difficult to find one from 1985 that wasn't struck with worn dies or poor pressure. So, when a 1985 nickel appears with 5 or 6 distinct, uninterrupted steps, collectors take notice, especially when it's preserved in MS 66 or higher. But there's more that a few examples were discovered with die clashes and double die obverse errors, where elements of the coin, like the inscription "In God We Trust" or "Liberty," appears slightly duplicated. This occurs when dies strike without a planchet between them, leaving ghostly imprints of the opposing design on each die. These minting errors are rare, but combine them with high-grade condition, full steps, and the right eye-catching details, and the value begins to soar. One pristine 1985 Jefferson nickel with both full steps and a minor die error sold privately for over $7,000, and estimates suggest that in even higher grades, it could command far more. But it's proof that even in a sea of common coins, a perfect storm of factors can turn a nickel into a numismatic treasure. But if the 1985 nickel is a quiet collector's prize, the real showstopper is the rare U.S. quarter dollar that sold for $4.62,000 at a coin minted for everyday use. A quarter, 25 cents. And yet, through an unbelievable combination of rarity, condition, and error, it became one of the most expensive U.S. quarters ever sold. This wasn't a colonial-era coin or a precious metal commemorative. This was a modern quarter, believed to have been struck in the early 2000s. But something went wrong, or maybe, for collectors, something went perfectly wrong. This quarter featured a striking mint error, most likely a double denomination or a wrong planchet strike. One theory suggests the coin may have been struck on a planchet mint for a foreign currency, giving it a slightly different composition and color. Another possibility? A quarter struck over a dime or a penny, creating overlapping images and a misaligned, surreal design. These double denomination errors are incredibly rare, and when they occur on a U.S. quarter, collectors go wild. But rarity alone doesn't drive a coin to $62,000. That condition is everything. The $62,000 quarter was not just rare, it was in exceptional, mint state condition, likely graded MS 68 or higher. That means sharp, bold details. No scratches, no signs of wear, just pure, flawless brilliance. It looked as if it had never been touched by human hands. Combine this immaculate preservation with the extreme rarity of its minting error, and you have a coin so desirable that elite collectors were willing to battle at auction, driving its final price to an eye-watering $62,000. And the best part, it was a coin that, at one point, was probably tossed into a cash register, or dropped into a cup holder, or slipped into someone's pocket without a second thought. Yet that's the magic of numismatics today. Coin made for ordinary life, touched by a rare flaw, preserved against all odds, and reborn as a masterpiece worth more than a car, more than a year of college tuition, more than most people ever expect from a simple piece of pocket change. What do the 1985 Jefferson nickel and the $62,000 quarter have in common? They are reminders that treasure doesn't always glitter. It doesn't always come with a map or a vault. Sometimes, treasure lives in plain sight, hidden in your change jar, your desk drawer, or the forgotten coins rattling in your car's console. Next time you get a handful of coins back from the store, pause. Look at the dates. Check the details. Examine every curve and line, because you never know, you just might be holding history. Top 5. Sometimes, the most valuable treasures aren't buried in the ground or locked inside a vault. Sometimes, they pass through our hands without us ever knowing. Today, we dive into the incredible world of U.S. coinage to uncover the secrets behind two unbelievable pieces of modern American history: the 1997 Jefferson nickel and a rare U.S. quarter dollar that once sold for $59,000. These aren't ancient relics. They're coins that were made for everyday use. Yet through mystery, error, and preservation, they became legends. Let's begin with the 1997 Jefferson nickel. Why 1997? The Jefferson nickel had already been in circulation for nearly 60 years. With billions of them produced, few expected any single coin from that year to stand out. But collectors know the truth. It's not always the age of a coin that makes it valuable. It's the anomaly. And the 1997 Jefferson nickel holds one of the most elusive and fascinating ones. Some of the most sought-after 1997 nickels were struck with full steps on Monticello. Those perfect, clean, uninterrupted lines at the base of Jefferson's home on the reverse of the coin. These are notoriously difficult to find because most nickels are struck with worn dies or too little pressure, which leaves the steps weak or completely missing. But a 1997 nickel with 5 or 6 fully defined steps, in pristine, uncirculated condition, instantly draws attention from collectors. Now add to that a rare minting error, and you have something truly special. Some 1997 Jefferson nickels were discovered with die cracks, off-center strikes, or even double die obverse features, where Jefferson's profile or the inscriptions show ghost-like doubling. These are the kinds of errors that slip through unnoticed at the mint, but become priceless in the hands of a sharp-eyed collector. One particular specimen, graded in near-perfect mint state condition, with full steps and visible die doubling, reportedly sold for more than $8,000, a staggering price for a 5-cent piece. When certified by top grading services and preserved without a single scratch or blemish, a 1997 nickel becomes a prize most collectors dream of finding in circulation. But now, let's shift to the real star of this story, a $0.25 that once sold $4.59. Yes, a coin worth 25 cents, less than a bottle of water, sold for the price of a luxury vehicle. And its rise to fame wasn't about precious metals or age. It was about rarity, mystery, and perfection. This wasn't just any quarter. It was a modern era coin, possibly struck during a transitional period or on a foreign planchet, when the U.S. Mint was preparing different blanks for international contracts or different denominations. Somehow, this quarter was struck on the wrong metal, or with a mistake that made it visually distinct, lighter, off-color, or just wrong enough to make it fascinating. Others believe it may have been a double denomination strike, a coin that was first struck as one denomination, like a dime or a penny, and then struck again with the quarter design. The result? Overlapping images. 2 coins in one. A numismatic Frankenstein. These errors are almost never released. When they are, they become instant legends. But even more incredible than the error is the condition. This $59,000 quarter wasn't scratched, bent, or worn. It was flawless, likely graded MS, 68 or higher, a level of perfection almost never seen in circulation. Its surfaces gleamed. Its strike was bold. It had survived untouched for years, until it surfaced, was certified, and stunned the auction world that it's not just the error. It's the survival, the preservation, the perfection. A coin meant to be spent on gum or parking became a collector's dream. Because in the world of coins, the most valuable pieces often begin their lives unnoticed, unappreciated, ordinary. The 1997 Jefferson nickel and the $59,000 $0.25 are reminders of that truth. They show us that hidden gems still exist, not in deep safes or ancient ruins, but in the spare change we carry every day. It only takes a trained eye, a curious mind, a little luck, and the willingness to look just a bit closer at what everyone else ignores. Because that nickel you almost left on the counter, or that quarter you dropped in a vending machine, it might just be worth a fortune. So next time you get change back, don't just pocket it and move on. Examine it. Study it. Look for the details, the dates, the steps, the strikes, the shine, because your next coin could be the next legend. And in the quiet world of coins, even the smallest piece of metal can hold the greatest value.